Hello, my name is Mike Danielle. I'm the Airport Director for the City of Roseburg, and if you found your way to this link, you're probably here to learn about our Taxiway relocation project here at Roseburg Regional. What I hope to do in the next few minutes is to tell you what we're doing, why we're doing it, when we're doing it, and how it's going to affect our day-to-day operations on the airport. It will have a significant impact, and of course my primary concern is that we're able to get through this construction project safely and expeditiously. So let's start out with what we're trying to do. The project involves moving our parallel taxiway here at Roseburg 40 feet to the west. And you're asking why we would want to do that. Currently the airport does not comply with airport design standards, with the FAA's design standards. And before the FAA will give us money for other capital projects, we need to make sure that we're in compliance with their standards now. So that's the background behind what we're trying to do with this project. The dates for the project are May 13th through mid-September. The project is complex and will require quite a bit of runway closures and taxiway closures, and it will require all of us operators to operate very cautiously and pay close attention to signage and barriers, and of course pay very close attention to NOTAMs that will be posted during the project. So let's go and look at a preliminary look at what's going to happen and how it will affect taxi to and from the runway during this project. The project involves 3 phases of operation. Phase 1 involves removing and replacing the parallel taxiway north of connector Alpha 3 and south of connector Alpha 5. Phase 2 involves removing and replacing the parallel taxiway between Alpha 3 and Alpha 5 inclusively. That means that all of these taxiways will be closed, these ladder taxiways will be closed during that phase of instruction. And then Phase 3 is the construction of a new ramp about this size that's located just north of our existing north ramp. This ramp will be constructed while this access to the north ramp remains open, and then after it's constructed and we close Alpha 3, access to and from the north ramp hangars will be through the newly constructed access taxiway right here. Phase 1 and 3 will happen simultaneously, and this will occur between May the 13th through mid-July. Phase 2 construction will go from July through mid-September. Now let's look at what we're going to do for each of these phases and how we're going to move around the airport. For Phase 1 and 3, again Phase 3 is the ramp construction down there, we're going to be closing the parallel taxiway between Alpha 2 and Alpha 3 and between Alpha 5 and Alpha 6. If you need to take off from runway 34 and you're down here at the south ramp, you'll taxi down the open part of the parallel taxiway to Alpha 5, access the runway for a 34 departure. You can choose to depart from this intersection, or you can back taxi on the runway, do a 180-degree turn, and depart. If you're down here on the south ramp and you need to depart runway 16, the preferred way to do it would be to taxi out onto the open portion of the parallel, down to Alpha 3, onto the runway. If you need the full length, you can back taxi and then depart normally to the south. From the north ramp, during this phase of construction, you will exit normally through Alpha 3, and if you're going to depart runway 16, just back taxi and depart normally. If you're going to depart runway 34 from the north ramp area, taxi down the parallel taxiway to Alpha 5, onto the runway, back taxi if necessary, and then depart normally to the north. If you are landing during this operation and you were to overshoot, let's say we're landing runway 34 and you overshoot Alpha 3, you'll have to do a 180 on the runway. It should be not a problem for any of our operators here. And conversely, if you're landing runway 16 and during rollout you overshoot the last access taxiway, just do a 180 back taxi and then taxi over to your ramp. So that's how phase 1 and 3 will operate. Okay, for phase 2 of the construction project, this is between late July and mid-September. Taxiway Alpha will be closed between Alpha 3 and Alpha 5 inclusively. This is going to be the most difficult period of time for us in terms of moving about the airport. Remember that if you're down here at the north ramp, your access to the parallel will also be closed during this phase. However, you will have a new piece of pavement here that you'll be able to taxi across and access the parallel through this north access way right here. So if you're down here at the south ramp during this phase and you need to depart, it will be a very simple thing, just like we're doing today. Move out onto the parallel, go to the end of the runway and depart normally. If you're down here at the south ramp and you need to depart runway 16, it will require you to access the runway down here, back taxi all the way to the end, do a 180 and depart normally. For people down here at the north ramp who want to depart runway 34, it's a long taxi. Go across the new ramp area, out the access, down to Alpha 2, taxi down the runway, do a 180 and depart runway 34. If you're departing runway 6, it's a simple thing. Just go out onto Alpha 2 and depart. So in a nutshell, that's how we're going to get this project done. It will require everybody to pay very close attention to the details and operations. Remember, primarily our safety is our primary focus. Anytime you're going to enter or exit the runway, talk on the radio. Let other people in the air and on the ground know exactly where you are. That's going to be the key to get this thing done. And it's going to be very important for people to pay attention to NOTAMs. There will be some runway closures during the project. During the time that we're repaving the fillets for all of these ladder taxiways, personnel and equipment will be within the runway object-free area, and during those hours the runway will be closed. We don't have the exact dates for this yet. They will be published by NOTAM, but we are trying to make arrangements so that the only closures will be occurring at night between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. in the morning. However, again, you need to check the NOTAMs. The last thing I need to have happen is for a local operator to depart the airport and come back only to find that it's been closed in his absence. So that's the operation, that's the project for this summer. I'd like everybody to, if you get a pencil, write down my office phone number. It's 541-492-6873. My cell phone number is 541-784-7155. I know there's going to be questions. I'll be glad to talk to you about this. You can also reach me by email at mdanielle, with 2 L's and an E, at cityofroseburg.org. Thank you for coming and watching this video, and call me if you have any questions, and by all means, fly safe.